I've seen quite a few Air Algerie business class reviews over the years, and it's kinda safe to say that they are very rarely positive experiences. But I wanted to go in this with a clear mind. I wanted to come out of this experience and make a video about, here's what they missed. So now that I've flown them twice, I can say for sure that it was not an entirely negative experience. Put aside the inquisition at check-in, the chaos at boarding, the dingy cabin, the stone-faced crew who served bread with their bare hands, the lack of entertainment. Put that all aside. I can't say this was an entirely negative experience because look at how elegant this coffee cup is. The mustard, also, very good. Before we get to the airport and start the festivities, let me welcome any of you that might be new to the channel. My name is Kevin. I'm here to give you a self-funded and honest look at some of the best, and some of the not so best, airlines and hotels in the world, which I've been bringing to you full-time for the past 4 years. Check out my hundreds of videos, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description to learn more about how I do things. Let's get into the trip report. Good morning from Dubai. Finally, a visit for me with actually no rain. For many years, even before I started the channel, I've had a floating bucket list of a dozen or so airlines, which I've just always really wanted to fly for one reason or another. Not necessarily logical reasons, but reasons. Air Algerie was one of those airlines, and so when a decent price business class ticket featuring their flagship A330 popped up onto my radar, I was instantly on top of it. Instant would kind of be a stretch though, since I couldn't get their website to actually let me buy a ticket. So I did so through a third party and just prayed. We're leaving this morning from Terminal 1, the check-in hall of which used to be used for parts of Terminal 3 until the new D gates were opened, and now a train ride away. Check-in was an absolute mess. For the first 20 minutes I was standing on line, there was no business class line at all, just a frequent flyer traveler line, but all the queues fed the same way. By the time I was 10th or so in line, a business class desk did open, again without a proper line. I should mention that I was not eligible for online check-in. The process started out smoothly with a very friendly agent, telling me that I was his favorite passenger of the day for not having a pile of checked-in luggage. Things went south when he called over his supervisor, who I assumed was the station manager for Dubai. He told her that I had a quote-unquote international block, which he looked puzzled by. The next 10 or so minutes consisted of the supervisor asking me in 12 different ways why I was in Dubai and where my final destination was. Not Tunis, as in where my ticket went to, but my final destination. After some back and forth, me having already shown her my ticket leaving Tunis, and insisting that I didn't need a visa for Tunis, she demanded to see what amounted to all flights that I had that led me back to a place where I could prove I had legal residence. Luckily, if you can call it that, I only had 5 more flights on this trip. I cannot imagine what the process would have been like if I had like 30 more to go. If this was like a one-way flight just to Algiers that I bought this morning with a brand new credit card and I didn't have a proper visa, all of this would be understandable. But that was not the case. Anyway, around 40 minutes after getting in line, I was on my way. From here, we would take the train to get to the gate area and then head to the lounge. Air Algerie started out as a charter airline, general transport air services in the 1940s, beginning commercial services to continental France and Switzerland by the end of the decade. In the early 1950s, a subsidiary of Air France and that original company merged to form Air Algerie. When Algeria gained independence in 1962, the newly formed government took a 51% stake in the airline, and its share has grown since then to now being the sole owner. The airline holds 46% of the country's international market share for the 46 million Algerians who, according to their flight route map, want to go to France, and France. Air Algerie serves Paris Orly from 9 different destinations and Paris Charles de Gaulle from 10, plus a variety of other French destinations and an extensive network of 33 domestic points. One level above the central waiting area, you'll find all of the lounges and some restaurants. There are 2 Ahlan lounges, and today I'd have access to the business class branch, which I've been to a few times and always find to be comfortable enough. One of the primary reasons that I jumped on this ticket was since it featured their flagship A330-200. They have 8 of these in their fleet in 3 different configurations. One of them doesn't have business at all. One configuration has a standard 222 business class, and the other configuration has their newest offering, a proper reverse herringbone lie-flat seat. I was hoping for the latter, but was prepared for whatever landed. I specifically did not use the word clusterfuck to describe the check-in experience because I didn't want to overuse the word and I knew I would need it to describe the boarding experience. It was mayhem. The roped-off area was surrounded by a crowd of people, and the nanosecond that one of the gate agents looked like he was going to open the gate, a rush of passengers pushed forward, knocking over the stanchions as if they just weren't there. There were 3 gate staff. None of them spoke Arabic or French. A couple minutes later, some more gate staff came who spoke Arabic and were absolutely screaming at people at the top of their lungs. All the while, the supervisor from check-in just stood by the front desk with a bit of a smug expression. Every economy carry-on was weighed before allowing them in the line, and the business class line they still refused to open. A non-Arabic speaking gate agent was trying to explain that this area is for business only, to no avail. So the screamer told everyone waiting for the business class line to get to the end of the economy line. He called someone and said, quote, "Business class passengers are not behaving and have many bags. I will weigh them all in the economy line," unquote. Luckily, he was speaking to someone who clearly had more common sense and said no. And finally the line was opened and we boarded. On board, I was very happy to find 18 reverse herringbone seats spread over 5 rows and took a tour of my seat. This is essentially the same seat that Cathay uses on their A330s, but with less bells and whistles and dirtier. While I was filming all of this, there was apparently a game of musical chairs going on, which I was not invited to play in, going on with passengers constantly going back and forth between business and economy. Some of which instantly fully reclined their seats and stayed like that through the takeoff, despite the crew trying to wake them up. I should note that this airline, and Algeria in general, from what I've heard, does not respond well to filming in public, so I was extra discreet on this flight. One passenger with 2 kids, a couple of rows ahead of me, needed an extender seatbelt and an infant belt, and neither were available. To say safety was not their #1 priority today would be a bit of an understatement. Impressions of the crew were so far a mixed bag. The purser seemed genuinely displeased with everyone, especially me. There were a few others that were not nice per se, but at least were not aggressively unpleasant. In case you hadn't realized already, this is going to be a wonderful flight. If you're enjoying the video and would like to support the channel, there are many ways that you can do so. A quick like on the video and subscribe helps videos with the algorithm. You could join my YouTube channel memberships to get early access to some videos and access to all of my community posts. Or you could check out my Patreon, where I post the most and can help you out with any travel-related questions. Whatever you do, thanks for doing it. let's take a look at all of the amenities on board today. First, second, and last, we have the felt blanket. Well, that was quick. Time for the meal service, which was very efficient with a school lunch lady charm. I was not given a choice. The tray just plopped down on my table by the purser. She then, with her hand, grabbed some bread and put it on the tray. For a drink, I asked for Coke Zero and was given a local brand Diet Cola, which I wrote down tasted like sun-ripened banana Red Bull. As for the food, it was hard to believe how items that honestly didn't look that bad could taste so off. The fish, labeled as grilled dory, had the texture of smashed potatoes and the flavor of a fish much fishier than dory. The chicken roll appetizer, this makes no sense but at the same time describes it perfectly. It tasted like all of the tasting notes of cheap whiskey, a fake smokiness, some kind of sour fruitiness, and the texture of, well, not chicken. The best thing on the tray was the bread, and honestly, the mustard, which helped mask the flavor of everything else. Now, I know you're thinking, oh my god, ew, he ate the bread after she touched it? Well, when I realized that it was the only truly edible thing on the tray, yes, I did. After traveling to around 70 countries filming content for this channel, I promise you that's nowhere near the worst thing I ate. Overall, I think we'll go for a 2 out of 10. After that was a coffee and whole fruit service, and I just stared at the cup for a bit. Both for how pretty it is, but also for how absolutely mismatched it seemed to be to the chaos party that this airline is. We headed over towards the Mediterranean, and I had a look at the entertainment on board. The featured title today was Man in the Mirror, because these things didn't actually turn on. Around 90 minutes before landing, to my heartfelt shock, another meal was served. It's a 7-hour flight, which honestly is still longer than I was expected to be, but I was just not expecting an entirely new tray of all of that delicious food. The bread and the fruit were the stars this time, with the cake just being north of edible. The mini toasts were all questionable and stale. Sometimes I get to this point in the script and I need to think, am I being too hard on them? Was the entire experience really that bad? And usually, no, the entire experience isn't horrible, but there's gotta be a first for everything, I suppose. Oh, did I mention my seat didn't have power? So the outlet didn't work, and I also couldn't recline at all. So, enjoy the landing, which will give you a true tour of Algiers as we pass to the north and turn before landing from the east. So I think Air Algerie deserves to join Viet Travel Airlines down at number 2. If you're wondering what would warrant a number 1 from me, I'm not too sure, but I have a feeling I'll know when I see it. And here we are. We ended up pulling into a bus gate and then made our way to the terminal where I'd be transiting to my next flight to Tunis. Lucky for me, the next flight was much better. I'm kidding. The next flight sucked too. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this trip report today, and if you're flying with Air Algerie soon, I'm pulling for you. If you enjoyed, please be sure to click the like button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss my flight and resort reviews coming out every week. I'll see you next time for the continuation of this joyous day. As always, thanks for watching until the end.